Good morning, everybody. Whoa. It's really dark. There. Well, maybe. Yeah, I think that's as good as it's going to get. Oh, that's what happens when you wake up late. Oh, I still have not yet recovered from my, from daylight savings time, I don't think. Oh. Well, hope you all survived the winter weather from yesterday. We got some snow. I don't think we got as bad as they were saying we were going to get, which is good because it'll probably mean it'll be gone faster. Speaking of, let's see what we can expect. Going. All right, it's currently 33 degrees in the great metropolis of Brendan, Iowa. Slight drizzle. It feels like 35 whether you're in the shade or not because it's all shade. It's all completely covered because we're having a drizzle. And it looks like the spotty drizzle will occur for about an hour. Um, Looking ahead, tomorrow evening we'll have some more snow, it looks like, but it'll really not amount to anything. The current air quality is fair. High today of 44, and then tonight a low of 34 with a couple of showers. Go here to our daily forecast. Tomorrow, the high of 44 again with that little bit of snow possibly in the later hours, but it won't really amount to anything. And then Thursday, we're back in the 50s. Friday, a high of 52 with plenty of sunshine. Saturday, a high of 57. Sunday, a high of 65. Monday, a high of 65. So, what snow we do have, I doubt will be staying around for very long. So, oop, come on. There you go. We got the robin's tails white. I suppose that is the old saying, you know. All right. Well, now we'll continue with our devotional. This is chapter 24, The Conscience of a Spouse. And our scripture today is from Matthew 27, verse 19. While Pilate was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him, "Have nothing to do with that innocent man, for today I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him." The New Testament does not give us the name of Pontius Pilate's wife, though the traditions of the 3rd century church call her Procula, and much later she is identified by the name Claudia or Claudia Procula. The Eastern Orthodox Church recognizes her as a saint, as does the Ethiopian Church. In a sense, she played the role in the New Testament of Esther in the Old Testament. Esther was the wife of King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes, of Persia. Esther's husband had already deposed one queen for standing up to him and opposing his wishes. Further, there was a law that extended the death penalty to anyone who approached the king's throne without being invited. But when Esther learned that the king had signed a decree that would result in the complete annihilation of all the Jews, she courageously pleaded the case of her people, and as a result they were saved. Esther is remembered every year at the Jewish festival of Purim for her courage in standing up for justice and for her people. Procula was the Roman wife of Pontius Pilate. Her powerful husband held the fate of the Son of God in his hands. Procula did not know the identity of Jesus, but she had been troubled in her dreams about him, and she knew he was not guilty. She sent word to Pilate to have nothing to do with that innocent man. Such interference in an official trial must have been remarkable and required courage on Procula's part. Yet unlike King Ahasuerus, who took seriously the counsel of his wife Esther, Pilate did not heed Procula's words. In the book of Esther, it was Haman, one of the king's nobles, who wished to destroy the Jewish people. His wife, Zesher, far from standing up to her husband and calling him to do what was right, actually encouraged him in his sin. She stood in stark contrast to the righteous Esther. Married persons must understand that part of the call from God in marriage is to help your spouse do the right and just thing. Are you willing to confront your mate and speak up when he or she is considering an action that will harm others, even if your words might result in conflict with your mate? Further, are you open to hearing your mate when he or she challenges your actions or decisions? King Ahasuerus was, and he will forever be remembered for retracting his edict. Pontius Pilate refused to heed the words of his wife, and he will be forever remembered for the resulting action. One of the joys of a single life: no one to tell you that you're wrong. And now I'm expecting a slew of comments telling me that I'm wrong. Even outside of marriage, we are put in situations where we might have to stand up to someone either we respect or have a great deal of affection for. We may be put in the position to tell them that they are wrong. Now, a couple days ago, when we were looking at Jesus' time with the Sanhedrin, we examined people like Joseph of Arimathea, who did not stand up to the Sanhedrin despite the fact that they knew that this was wrong. Now, this is a little different situation. The way we're looking at it today is more along what do you do when it's someone you have a great deal of affection for rather than just a crowd or what the popular opinion is. When it's someone that you care deeply for, when it's someone that, either is a spouse or significant other or a very good friend or a close family member, it can be hard to tell them that they're on the wrong path. And I'm just realizing it's still getting very dark. I think tomorrow I'll close that window. Maybe if I scoot forward, it'll focus on me. Well, maybe not. It can be hard to try and correct the path of someone you care about like that. It's a very fine line that we have to walk. But sometimes we have to remember that our reasoning behind these course corrections isn't to be right, isn't to laugh at our, significant other or family member, what have you, that, ha, I'm better than you, I'm right, and you are wrong, ha. Sometimes we have to remember that the reason that we are having this conversation, even though it's not easy, is out of love. It's not out of some competition. It's not out of some desire to emerge on top in the forever and never-ending battle of the sexes. It's not that kind of a thing. It's that we care about this person and we don't want to see them have a path that leads to ruin. When a parent disciplines their child, it isn't the fact that a parent is trying to wield some kind of grand power of authority, ha. It's that they want the child to grow up to be as productive and successful a member of society as possible. And so they do things like discipline the child, correct the child's actions, in an attempt to make life better for the child. And that is what I think, to a certain extent, what Pilate's wife was trying to do, what Esther was trying to do. Now, Esther, we can say, well, Esther was trying to save her people. She had a selfish motivation. And that's very true. She did want to save her people. That was, I'm sure, a very strong motivation. But also, I think to some extent, she did not want Xerxes to have to bear the weight of that on his soul. Pilate's wife probably felt a similar thing. Yes, she was tormented by dreams, excuse me, but it wasn't just because of the dreams that she was trying to get Pilate to stop. She probably worried for Pilate's conscience as well. And we see in Matthew that she refers to Jesus as an innocent man. And I imagine when Pilate allowed Jesus to be crucified, there was a long, difficult conversation waiting for him when he returned to his home. There's a movie that came out here about 3-4 years ago, something like that. And it's made by these brothers. And generally speaking, these brothers, they're from, I think it's a church in Georgia. They use their filmmaking abilities to try and, that's their ministry, is they make these films to try and teach a message. But for the most part, I do recommend their films, things like Facing the Giants. Facing the Giants is a particular favorite of mine. But the one I'm talking about now is The War Room. And I do recommend The War Room. The thing I like about their movies is that they don't resort to, well, because you love God, everything works out for the best. Everything will work out. There is generally a happy ending to these movies, generally. But it's not out of some hocus pocus theology. And the premise of The War Room is a marriage that is in difficulty. The wife and the husband both have careers that they're spending a lot of time apart. They're constantly fighting to the point where their young daughter is making excuses to not stay at home as much as possible. And the wife meets this elderly woman who tries to convince her that you're fighting a battle against your husband. That's not where your battle should be fought. Your husband is not your enemy. And that there is kind of the crucial difference between what Joseph of Arimathea is facing and what Esther faced. That they had to understand that their husband was not the enemy. The external forces that were pulling them apart, that is the enemy. In the case of Esther, it was Haman who was the enemy. And Esther's bravery was able to convince Xerxes to rescind his proclamation. When we are trying to have the kind of discussions, those critical conversations is what we would call it in a management course, a critical conversation with someone that we care about, that we love, the important thing to remember is that they are not our enemy. And we are not doing this to try and assert dominance over them. We are trying to set things right so that life will be better for them, the environment will be better for them, whether it's in work or family life or what have you. We are trying to help them as much as we are trying to help ourselves. And that's an important distinction. So, when we have those kind of arguments, when we have those discussions, it's important to remember that they are not the enemy, but the ally. And that's what relationships, all the way from good, strong friendships to marriage, that's what defines those two. Is that it's not a never-ending battle of the sexes, but a battle between two partners who are struggling and striving to make the most out of life for each other. And sometimes that means we have to correct the course. Well, as usual, I will now offer the prayer from the end of the chapter. Lord, help me to have the courage of Esther and Procula by speaking up in the face of wrong. Give me the wisdom of Ahasuerus, who listened to his mate and changed his course of action as a result. Teach me courage and humility. Amen. That's all I have today. Just a reminder about the Bible study tonight at 7 p.m. over Zoom. No book is required. If you wish to join and have not received a Zoom link from me, please email me and I will gladly send that out. And also, tomorrow will be the last live Pastor's Percolator this week. I have a meeting on Thursday that will kind of take up the whole day. And then obviously Friday and Saturdays are always pre-recorded. But that's what we have coming up throughout the week. And then next week I'll get the Holy Week schedule out. And then after that, we're heading into Easter. So have a good day, everybody. And hopefully the snow didn't get your spirits down too much. And just remember, it's not going to be here for very long anyway. So have a good day.